Hi everybody, thank you for joining our Keeper customer webinar on the Keeper browser extension. My name is Lauren Clark. I'm the Senior Customer Marketing Manager here at Keeper, and I'm joined with Benjamin Woletz, our Senior Product Manager. Today's webinar is held in Livestorm. There are a few things that you can do in here. You can put questions in the questions tab as well as in the chat function. So I'm joining from Raleigh, North Carolina. If you're joining from wherever you're joining from, feel free to put that in the chat as well. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Ben. Ben, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Ben Woletz. I am the Senior Product Manager of Keeper's browser extensions, and I'm calling from Portland, Oregon. Our team's been working really hard on a lot of new features, and I'm excited to share what we've been working on today.
Awesome. And a couple more housekeeping things. So we have a raffle prize for today's webinar. If you stay till the end, you'll be entered automatically into the raffle to win a pair of AirPods. The winner will be announced in the chat, and you'll be contacted after the webinar via email. A couple other things to note is that this webinar is recorded, and the Livestorm recording will be sent out to you and everybody who registered right after the event ends. We will also send a follow-up email from Keeper within a week after the webinar ends with any resources and the recording as well, in case you'd like to share it with any colleagues. But without further ado, we can get into all the new browser extension features. Please be sure to put your questions in the questions tab, and we have a team behind the scenes that'll be answering them, and Ben will also be answering some live at the end as well.
Thanks, Lauren. So before we dive into the updates, I just want to go over what Keeper's browser extension is, why it matters. Basically, it gives you instant access to your info, so passwords, usernames, TOTP codes, credit cards, and much more. It lets you easily create and view and update these records on the fly. And there's a couple neat features it has. It lets you auto-generate passwords, so you don't need to come up with a new one every time. Just click a button, you've got a secure password. It also has this nice feature where if you log into a website with a username and password that we don't recognize, we'll give you a quick way to add that to your vault. So in a nutshell, it offers convenience and it offers security. You can have more varied and complex passwords because you don't need to remember them. Keeper will. And our browser extension is available on Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Edge, and other Chromium-based browsers like Opera and Brave. So earlier this year, we redesigned nearly the entire user experience of Keeper's browser extension, and I'm really excited to share what we've been working on since. There are 5 key updates that went live in October that I'll be covering today. We've got landscape mode, a new passphrase generator, an upgraded password generator, a shortcut to your web vault, and clarified browser extension settings. So I'll start with landscape mode, which essentially extends the width of your browser extension. And this means a lot less navigation. It's easier to browse records on one side, while you can drill down into records to view the details, copy things, make edits on the right side without having to navigate back and forth between them. So here is a visual to demonstrate how this works. And in this visual, I'm basically flipping between landscape mode, which you see here, and then back to portrait mode by clicking this button. So it's very easy to flip between the two. This will be especially helpful for users with larger monitors or resolutions who have a lot of space to spare. Please give this a try. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear how it's working in your day-to-day. Next, I'll move on to the passphrase generator. And this gives you the ability to generate passphrases in addition to passwords. It's really easy to get to. Basically, anywhere you can generate a password. If you go to this type field here, click the drop down and select passphrase, you'll be able to generate a passphrase instead. If you're not familiar with passphrases, I'll go into a bit of detail here. They offer the dual benefit of being easier to remember than passwords while also generally more secure because they can have greater length and entropy than passwords. And essentially what they are a string of legible words separated by different characters. So we wanted to give users a way to customize the passphrases they generate. There's a couple ways you can do that here. We've got a length slider, which you can move from 5 words up to a maximum of 20. You can choose whether you want to include capital letters or exclude them, and then you can include or exclude the presence of a number in your passphrase. We've also given you the option between 6 different separators, which include characters as well as a blank space character. And I just wanted to call out, we have included this default settings feature here. So if you find a configuration you like and you want to use in the future, all you need to do is check this box before you use the passphrase, and any passphrases you create in the future should mimic the same settings. This is available also on our web vault, our desktop app, our Android mobile app, and it will release on our iOS app shortly. So we didn't just make changes to the passphrase generator, or rather create a new passphrase generator. We also upgraded the password generator in a couple key ways. The main way, or maybe the most noticeable, is we've added a lot more customization capabilities. So whereas before you could choose whether you wanted to include or exclude letters in general, now we've segmented those out between lowercase and uppercase characters. Whereas before you could choose whether or not you want to include symbols, we've actually given you the ability to select the exact symbols you want to use and don't want to use, as you can see below. And the benefit of this is more customization and easier meeting of different websites' password requirements. We've also updated the UI to feel more clean and modern as well. And just like you can do with passphrases, you can check this box to keep your password configuration for future passwords you generate as well. So as part of our redesign that I was mentioning of the entire browser extension experience, one benefit was that we let you view your records right when you open your browser extension. There was no more clicking in to view your records list, which saved some time. The downside was that it took one more click to open your vault than it did before. And this is something we heard from a lot of users after releasing this. And we listened. So what we did was add a simple, subtle shortcut to get to your vault from the browser extension, which I'll show here. Essentially, there's a keeper logo on the top left of your extension window. If you click that, it'll open your vault. And it's as simple as that. It's inspired, the UX is inspired by common website design. So the thought behind it was on most websites you go to, if you click the logo on the top left, it'll bring you to the homepage. In a similar vein here, clicking the logo in your browser extension will bring you to the main place where you would manage your web vault. So hopefully this removes the friction you and your users have been reporting to us over the past few months. My final update for today is clear browser extension settings. So I joined Keeper in January of this year, and even I was confused as to what each setting did. Many were unclear and a few were even inaccurate, I hate to say. And so what we did was went through and reviewed each and every one of them and rewritten them for clarity. So that includes the names of the settings here, as well as the descriptions you'll see when you click into them. And why this matters is for MSPs and admins, I hope it reduces some of the stress of explaining which settings do what to your employees and your clients. And the idea is that it gives users an easier time to customize their Keeper experience and gives admins an easier time setting the enforcement policies the way that they want to. We have accompanying updates coming to the admin console very soon. So with that, we'll transition into the Q&A segment of our webinar. Please feel free to post in the questions tab in Livestorm, and I'm excited to hear what kind of questions come up.
Awesome. Yeah, Ben, we have a few questions. The first one is from David, and he's asking, would you add more special characters to the passphrase generator, or is there plans to? The ones that were listed, are those the only options that they have to add to the passphrase generator specifically?
That's a good question. There are not plans to add new characters, but it shouldn't be too hard.
For the passphrase one, I'm sorry to interrupt you right before.
Oh, the passphrase. Oh, thank you. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, no, you're good.
There aren't plans, but we'd love to hear your feedback. So please feel free to write in the chat or in the questions tab, and I'll take that to my team personally.
And let's see what else we have here. Some people were asking for the documentation, so I did provide that to the people who asked for the release that we're talking through. It'll also be included in the email after the webinar from Keeper. We'll send everything like that as well. And then somebody asked, when will the new extension update be released? Is it automatically updated?
It is automatically updated, and it is currently available on all of our browsers. So if you click into your extension, right now, you should be seeing all of these features. And if you're having trouble finding them, please message me and I'll help you out.
And then is the imagery that people are seeing here, is it from the web vault or the mobile view? If you could expand on that a little bit.
This is, these are actually screenshots that I personally took of our extension. So let me share my screen, another window here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
And while you're sharing that, some people are noticing that the minimum words in the passphrase is set to 5. Is that going to be the standard minimum, or will it be any less than that?
That's the standard minimum. The screenshots I've been showing are from the live version of the extension. So for example, password generator here, passphrase generator here, and then the web vault shortcut. So this should all be live for every user right now. But if it's not, please let me know and I can help you get updated. The updates are automatic and you don't need to accept or do anything. It's just pushed to you.
Okay, thank you. And then is there any way in this release for people to easily switch in the browser extension from their personal vault to their work vault?
There is not currently, but that's something we're actively focused on building.
Awesome. Let me see if we have anything else up in there. Let's see. Are all of these browser extension features available for the US Gov solution as well?
Yes. I'm almost certain they are.
Awesome.
If they're not, again, please let me know and I'll look into it.
And then are there plans to include Windows Hello sign in for browser extensions?
Yes. Yes, I'm actively exploring that. Actually, today. I'm working with my designers today, exploring that.
Awesome. And we have a ton of questions coming in, so I'm just trying to sift through them really quickly.
Oh, awesome.
So similar to the question of is the updates automatically applied, is there a way to go back to previous versions of the browser extension, or will everybody automatically be on the most recent one?
Everyone will be automatically on the most recent one. If you do want to go back, I'd love to hear more about that. I'd love to hear why, so I can understand if there's another use case for that. But as of now, we sort of push this out to everyone, assuming it is a net positive change.
Awesome. And as more questions come in, I'm also going to be posting our Reddit community as a pop-up here. It'll come up in just a second. So if anybody has any technical questions or questions that are really specific that aren't being addressed right now, you can also post on Reddit. And then when we email you guys, you're also welcome to email us back as well. I don't know, Ben, if you want to take a look in the question section. They're flowing in still, so we're going to keep looking.
Okay, let me check. Can Keeper generate? So Emmy or Emi, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, is asking, can Keeper generate email notifications if a password is set to expire soon? I am not too sure about that, but I will check with our Vault team and get back to you. Bill Holtgrave asks, have there been any changes to how the desktop app works? Does it integrate with the browser plugin yet, or do you still have to log in separately? So currently you still do have to log in separately. I'm making changes to make it easier to log into the browser extension, and our team is exploring ways to link the two. So if you log into one, you log into the other. The same way it works between the browser extension and the web vault today. Aris or Eris Saganos asked an interesting question. Can we create profiles of password policies so that we can easily select between them when creating new credentials? I think that's a great idea. I don't know if that's something our team considered early on when building this, but I'm definitely going to relay that to them.
Yes, and I put the Reddit community in the pop-up here, and again, it'll be included in the post-event email. But if we have a pinned post on there for feature requests and improvements, and that includes the browser extension. So if anybody has any feature requests or product improvements, you can always post them there. And again, if you have really specific questions, you can ask those. But it looks like we're still getting a bunch of questions about passphrases. And let's see. Sorry, this is awesome because we're getting a lot of questions, which will make sure we don't miss any. Let's see. Regarding passphrasing, will there be or can there be a feature to salt the phrases? That way you can generate a passphrase and customize how it is. And then they provided some examples. But is there a way to customize those a little bit more?
I am not sure. I will look into that afterwards and get back to you.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Let's see. Jesse Williamson asks, is there an update to the process for updating or changing record passwords? Not currently. So my main focus right now, outside of some of the features I mentioned, is making sure that autofill works properly on every website, which has been a fairly large pain point we hear about often. And I want to make sure that the core things that we do work properly. So that's something, improving the record password change process is something I'll look into next year. So sorry for the wait, and thanks for your patience on that.
Someone asked, if I have more than one credential for the same website, can I set one of them as a default?
That's something that I think is sorely needed. It's something I will be looking into early next year. That's a great question. David Lee asks, are there any plans to make the stay logged in setting save per device or browser instead of per account? So I want to stay logged in at home, but not at work. That actually makes a lot of sense to me, not wanting to stay logged in at work, but stay logged in at home. I don't believe we are considering that, but that's a great idea. And I'm going to write that down and share it with our product management team. Thanks, David.
Can we get the recovery phrase method to be a user-generated passphrase? Is one of the questions.
That's an interesting idea. So I'm assuming they're talking about the recovery phrase you get when you sign up for your Keeper account, which you're supposed to write down on a piece of paper or somewhere external. So if you forget your master password, you can still get back into your account. I don't think we're planning on offering customization of that, but I can pass it along to the team. It's an interesting idea, especially because if you forget your master password, it would be really nice to have something a little more memorable than that string of 24 super random characters. I'm not sure if that would compromise the security of it, but it's good for us to consider.
And then David asked, can you show how to focus on favorited items instead of recent items?
Sure, yeah. So we have this component right here. Right here it says recents. It's our sort/filter component. So essentially when you go into here, you can change how records are sorted. And then you can also filter them down. So if I want to just see my favorites, I'll just click this, and then my list is filtered down to my favorites. While I'm on this note, I just want to show how to favorite a record. So if I want to favorite my target record here, right click here, or left click, sorry, add to favorites. And then when I filter, it will be included there.
And a few people are asking if the passphrase generator is also within the desktop app. Is
Yes.
it the same way to find it, which is toggling from password to passphrase?
Yes, it should be.
Great.
I'm going back to the earliest questions to make sure we don't lose any of those.
Are you able to set folders as a favorited item or only records?
So we don't support viewing folders in the browser extension currently. I know that's not exactly the question, but it is something that I want to look into, especially now that we have this landscape mode and more real estate to play with. And I'm actually not sure if you can favorite folders, but I will check that out right now. So it doesn't look like you can favorite folders. But thanks, that's an interesting question. I hadn't thought of that.
Yep, everything that everyone's suggesting we'll definitely have access to after the event concludes, and we will follow up if we have any additional answers. And again, the Reddit community is a great place to post any questions or suggestions. But it looks like we're still getting some questions, so I'm going to keep looking through those.
Yeah, I see a great one from Juan Padilla. Are you going to add the ability to scan MFA QR codes and add the MFA to the records from the extension? Yes, that's actually the next main feature that's coming out, is the ability to, if you're on a website that has a QR code that links to a TOTP or time-based one-time password, all you'll need to do is click a button in your extension and it will link it to your record. And how that will look, I know I have a TOTP code. There we go. If you do add a TOTP code to a record, it'll look like this in your browser extension. And this is, I think, one of the best features of our browser extension is the ability to log TOTP codes inside of the extension, because if you don't do that, oftentimes these are logged in a authenticator app on your mobile phone, which means opening your phone, unlocking it, going to the authenticator app. I have 4 of them, so it's hard to remember what's in what. And then finding the right TOTP code for the account I want to log into and manually typing that in. With Keeper, if you link the TOTP code to your record, all you need to do is go to the website and we'll autofill it for you. So it's a huge convenience factor, and we're addressing the main pain point, which is actually getting these codes into your records more easily. Right now, it's not a very clean process, but in early Q1, it will be. Let's see.
Is the passphrase generator 100% random?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I know that we have a list of words we want to exclude, of course. As you can imagine, we probably don't want to put certain words in here. But I'm not sure about the randomness. I'm sure the team has maximized how random it is while keeping those words out. But I can also ask the team who developed the logic for this and get back to you. I do want to go, I'm seeing a couple questions about autofill accuracy, and I do want to go over that. That has been something I noticed coming into Keeper in January that was coming up a lot. And our leadership team agrees it's the main focus for our team right now, is making sure if you go to a website, we're putting the right stuff in the right fields at the right time. And we're actively focused on that. I'd say we have about 30% of our engineering team focused on that right now. And in a nutshell, what we're doing is building internal tools that let us fix autofill on websites in a matter of hours rather than days or weeks. So for all of you who have submitted autofill issues in the past and sort of been waiting for a while for those websites to work with Keeper, that'll be a thing of the past. Basically, you'll let us know something's broken. We'll have it fixed the next week at the latest. And the nice part about this is we're going to be using the data we get from that to train machine learning models so that we get autofill right the first time and you don't need to report anything to us. So it's a huge initiative on our end. We recognize it's one of the foremost problems of our browser extension, and we're investing heavily to make it better.
Someone is asking, what is the recents criteria based on? Is it records you've accessed recently or created recently?
I believe it's records you have edited or filled recently. But I can look into the exact code and get back to you. It's been a while since I refreshed on that. Michael asks, from the Keeper extension, when clicking the plus button, it no longer lets you choose different record types. Do you know why it went away? Unless I'm wrong, that was never something we supported in the browser extension, at least from this window. So I think what Michael's asking is, hey, I want to create a credit card record or an address record, but all it lets me do is create a login record. That's something we've thought about supporting, but just so you know, if you are on a website and want to create a credit card or payment or address feature, you can right click and use this context menu to create payment cards and addresses. So for example, here's how I would create a credit card record. So Michael, hopefully that helps.
Someone asked, when creating a new entry from the browser extension, if you switch to another tab, you lose everything. Is there a way to avoid that?
Can you say that again, Lauren?
Yeah. When creating a new entry from the browser extension, if you switch to another tab, I'm assuming before saving it as a new record or password, that it clears out. Is there a way to avoid that?
Let me check. New tab, back. I'll check with my team about that. There might be a reason why we made it that way for security, but I'm not sure. And if that's getting in the way, I hate it more than anything when people invest something into a process like this and then it's wiped and you need to restart. So I'll check into that and get back to you. Oh, Brittany Sharp asked a great question. Can we set a password to automatically go to a certain folder, or at the very least where we add the new entry? Can we specify where that is stored immediately while adding? That's something we're working on as well. It's not coming out in our next release, but it should be coming out in late Q1, early Q2. And essentially what she's referring to is if I create a new record, let me choose where this lives. A lot of people use folders and subfolders, so we're building a way to navigate that and choose where any record is placed. Which right now it's not ideal. If you create a record, you'll have to go to your web vault and then move it into the folder you want. That should all be very streamlined by June of next year.
I have a couple of people asking how you got to the new landscape view. So if you could show that again, just really quickly, how you got to the double pane window, as someone was asking. Yeah.
Sure. So it's this button right here, right next to the overflow menu, the options menu. So all you need to do is click this and it will toggle between portrait mode, which is what the traditional view is, and then landscape mode by clicking this button.
Ryan asked, if we use SSO, can a record be created with the username only and no password?
I think I know what they're talking about, using social SSO. So that's like when you create an account on a website by logging in via your Google account that you're actively signed into, or Facebook or Apple. That's something that's on our backlog right now. We decided it's not a priority, but it is something that I personally would like to build. So I think there's some confusion around, at least for me when I'm using this tool, hey, I don't have a password for this website. Did I not create a record for it, or did I use social SSO? If I use social SSO, did I use Google, Meta, Apple, etc.? So I see it as a need, but it's not as pressing as some of the other things we focused on.
I think we can answer a couple more questions and then we'll be done for our session today. But John asked, related to the work disappearing when switching tabs, is there a way to get a confirmation before closing an unsaved record?
That's a great idea. I'm not sure if that would work based on how, like what we're able to control in terms of browsers, like preventing you from switching tabs. But I will look into a way to make sure your work is saved. Mike Targert has a question. I have a few sites where I need to enter 3 fields: company code, username, and password. Is this something that's being looked into for a future update? So Mike, as far as I know, you should be able to add a custom field to records. Add a custom field right here in the web vault. And then this can actually be auto-filled for you. I think you may need to edit the label to match the syntax on the website, but reach out to customer support and they can help you set that up. Paul McCallum asks, can you show where in the extension you can set to stop prompting you for specific sites? I only see the option to turn the feature on or off completely. Paul, unfortunately, that is the only setting right now, is down here. You've got your prompts list. I want to have Keeper stop asking me to autofill when I go to sites, but it is unfortunately across all sites. That's something I really want to get fixed, but it's not matching up in terms of our current priorities. So I'm hoping to build that in the first half of next year. The ability to choose how Keeper works on a site-by-site basis, whether that's the pop-ups, whether that's autofill, or even whether the Keeper icons show up in your fields. I think that's a really important need, but it's not as important as some of the stuff we're building right now. Lauren, any other questions we should cover before we wrap up?
We have a lot of great questions. A lot of them are repeating some things that we have already answered. So just as a refresher, this webinar recording will be sent out automatically to everybody who registered and attended as soon as we end the event from Livestorm. And then we will also send a event follow-up from Keeper within the next week with all of the resources that we've been sharing and links to our more upcoming webinars and things like that. I put an email in the chat here. So customercomms@keepersecurity.com is an email that you can email if you have any questions around the browser extension or just around Keeper in general. And please don't hesitate to reach out, especially when you receive the follow-up email. You can reply to that as well. But I just want to thank everybody for joining. And thank you, Ben, for presenting, obviously, the awesome new updates we have in our browser extension. But yeah, I think that's it. Any closing remarks, Ben?
I did kind of want to share a sneak peek about what's coming up next. And I hope I can do another webinar on this, but a few things that we are going to be releasing shortly. Adding the time-based one-time password codes to the browser extension with one click. So those are those 6-digit codes you get that you have to enter as a two-factor method after you log in with your username and password. We're adding a clipboard expiration feature. So if you copy some sensitive info from the browser extension, we can automatically clear that after a set amount of time, generally about 30 seconds. So you don't paste it somewhere accidentally. And so other services can't read that from your clipboard. Pretty simple one, but something that has frustrated me for a while is that you can't delete records from the browser extension. So we'll be adding that shortly. And then, like I said, in a response to one of our questions, we'll be able to change the place where records are created. So if you want to create a new record in a certain subfolder, you'll be able to do that shortly. And then you can move records into folders you can move existing records into the folder you want as well by editing them. So those are some exciting things that we will be releasing in the next few months.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll include a link to our upcoming webinar page in the follow-up so that everybody can be up to date. And then we'll be sending out the invites as usual. But thank you guys so much for joining. I appreciate your time today, and the recording will be sent out shortly. If you have any questions, please email customercomms@keepersecurity.com, and we will definitely answer your questions there as well. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a great day.